Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Learn with Me. I'm Deborah Hanson, and today I'm going to talk about AP Human Geography 2.9 Aging Population. I'm going to go through all the information you need to know to do really well on that exam. We're looking for the five. So, just before we start, I want to say thank you to everybody who's hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The higher the numbers go, the more people we can help in AP Human Geography. But I also do AP Psychology, AP World, and we're looking at adding some more AP content to help you guys prepare for the exam. So, today we're going to break down the question, the CED question for 2.9, which is explain the causes and consequences of an aging population. So what is an aging population? Let's break it down and see why it matters. An aging population simply means that a large proportion of people in a country are elderly. As a result, the overall median age of the population increases. This shift usually happens because birth rates decline and people live longer. There are three major causes behind aging populations. First, declining birth rates. Fewer children being born decreases the share of young people. Second, increased life expectancy. People are living longer due to better nutrition, education, and living conditions. And third, ongoing healthcare advancements. Improved medical care allows people to survive illnesses and live well into old age. Now let's look at the implications. A country with an aging population needs more healthcare and social support because elderly individuals typically require more medical care. The workforce also becomes smaller, which would create an economic strain, fewer workers supporting more retirees. And finally, aging populations shapes policies, economies, and intergenerational relationships. Governments have to rethink pensions, retirement age, immigration policies, and long-term care centers. So when a population both lives longer and has fewer births, it transforms the entire structure of the society, creating new challenges, but also in opportunities for innovation. So now let's look at how the aging population affects politics and public policy. So first, governments begin to shift their policy focus towards healthcare and support service. As elderly populations grow, countries have to increase funding for medical care, long-term care, and social support programs that help older adults maintain their quality of life. Next, we see major pension and social security challenges. With more retirees and fewer workers paying into the system, governments now face financial strain. The imbalance often forces politicians to consider reforms such as adjusting retirement ages, contribution rates, or benefit levels. Aging populations can also create fiscal policy pressure. Governments must make difficult decisions on how to distribute the limited tax revenue. There are debates over how much should go towards elderly care versus other priorities like education, transportation, and infrastructure. Balancing these competing needs becomes a major political issue. And finally, aging population changes intergenerational dynamics. Older voters tend to participate in elections at a higher rate, giving them significant political influence. And as a result, issues such as healthcare access, pension protection, and senior rights often rise to the top of the political agendas. So overall, aging populations shift political focus towards elderly needs, and it affects budgets, policy debates, and voting patterns in very profound ways. Now let's talk about the social consequences of an aging population. These changes affect not just individuals, but the families, the communities, and the entire workforce. First, an aging population leads to increased healthcare demand. We've said this a few times now. As people age, they experience more age-related conditions, which means hospitals, clinics, and long-term care facilities need more staff, more resources, and a lot more money. Healthcare systems must adapt to serve a much older demographic. Next, aging populations brings changes in family dynamics. Younger generations often take on caregiving responsibilities, supporting elderly parents or grandparents, and this can affect living arrangements, financial responsibility, and the emotional workload within a family. Multi-generational households may become more common as caregiving needs increase. Another major consequence is social isolation. Elderly individuals may experience loneliness, especially after losing close friends or spouses, and without a strong community support and transportation options or even social programs, isolation can become a serious issue that affects both mental and physical health. Communities need to invest in programs that help seniors stay connected and engaged. And finally, aging population impacts the labor market. As large numbers of older adults retire, the workforce shrinks. This can create labor shortages in key industries and may push governments to adjust immigration policies, retirement age, or workforce participation incentives to fill the gaps. So basically, social consequences of aging population reshape our healthcare systems, our family roles, social structures, and workforce dynamics, all of which influence how societies function in the long run. The last thing we're going to look at is the economic consequences of an aging population, some of the most significant impacts countries face. First, aging populations create major labor market challenges. As a large number of older adults retire, we see the workforce shrink. This can lead to skill shortages in key industries, it can reduce productivity, and it can slow economic growth. So countries may need to raise the retirement age, encourage immigration, or invest in more automation to fill those gaps. Next, there's a growing pension and social security pressure. With more retirees and fewer workers paying into the system, pension programs become financially strained. So governments may need to consider policy reforms to keep these systems sustainable, such as maybe adjusting the benefits levels or changing contribution rates or just restructuring retirement plans. Another consequence is increased healthcare spending. Elderly individuals require more medical care, long-term care, and specialized services. So as the aging population grows, governments face significantly higher public health care expenditures. So this increase can place pressure on national budgets and force difficult spending decisions. And lastly, an aging population affects economic growth and innovation. With fewer working-aged people, economic growth tends to slow down because there are fewer workers contributing to the productivity and fewer innovators driving new ideas. Maintaining competitiveness becomes really challenging when a large share of the population is no longer part of the labor force. So here's a tip. Overall, aging populations can strain economies by increasing spending needs and reducing the size of the workforce, affecting growth potential, innovation, and national budgets. So that's all the essential knowledge you need to know to answer the CED question, explain the causes and consequences of an aging population. If you found that helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button for me. Leave me any comments. If you have any questions, always happy to answer. I promise I will. If you leave them below, or you can send me an email, it doesn't matter. I really love hearing from you guys. Hopefully you found this helpful. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you next time.